There were still occasional flashes of piercing emerald and turquoise flame, but the deafening peals of thunder gradually ceased. The surrounding cliffs and the narrow valleys were covered with a bluish mist, but its clouds flowed smoothly, undisturbed by any vigorous movement. Helga cast one last glance at the surrounding landscape. It looked like this attack had been finally repelled. As always. Now it was possible to deal with the aftermath. Helga opened the case where 3 dark metal spheres with iridescent scaly surfaces lay. She tossed one toward the half-destroyed melted south tower, which had suffered the most during the last fire troll attack. The orb hovered in the air briefly with a slight hum, then quickly floated toward the mangled walls. She sent the second ball in the same manner to the small intermediate gun turret, and then, sticking her arm out, she lowered the third orb down to inspect the wall. There was no need to control the orbs directly. The inspection drones were programmed to search and assess the damage independently. Helga blinked, displaying the data from each drone on her artificial retina. All the cones and sticks had been replaced by a layer of special nanosites. Lines of numbers and letters ran, overlapping the gorgeous colors of the sky. The attack was potent. The fire trolls had teamed up with the ice trolls, which was rare, and they had brought with them a giant beast that looked like a fattened, wingless dragon with 2 heads. The 2 heads spat copiously and accurately, one with a greenish slurry, the other with something that looked like lumps of red powder. When both spits hit the same spot, a violent reaction occurred that dissolved any metal and even some of the modified basalt, the primary building material of the Stronghold. Helga hadn't had time to figure out what it was, but it was powerful like hell. It had done a lot of damage before the Citadel's main positronic cannon finally took the beast down. All that was left of the South Tower was a shapeless, melted cliff. All lasers, gravitational guns, and missile launchers were destroyed. At least, the gray matter in the warheads had not detonated and was now part of a conglomerate of melted modified basalt and ceramic metal debris. The repair was out of the question. Removing the whole mess and building the tower from scratch was easier. Core. Here. The artificial intelligence responded instantly. That was good. It meant the fire trolls hadn't used a quantum destabilizer that disrupted all communication this time. Status of South Sector energy feeds? Satisfactory. I blocked all the lines going to the South Tower in time, and the desynchronization wave didn't travel far. Excellent. So we'll have time to clear the ruins and rebuild the tower before the next attack? 96% probability. The central synthesizer is running at full capacity. The first batches of nanobots are on their way. Helga already noticed them. On top of the melted pile of slag, the thick black mouths of the transmission tubes extended from the depths of the Stronghold, and from there, a silvery gray stream of living, breathing clouds poured out and immediately began to settle and spread over the remains of the South Tower. It was like a cloud of gnats clinging to a lump of sugar. The conglomerate began to change shape, while the tubes continued to spew out more and more clouds. Helga switched the image to the drone sent to the secondary turret on the wall. The small energy cannon had been hit with the ice troll's newest weapon, a blob of fractal quantum foam. The cannon was now a strange, surreal monument of degenerate matter, looking like a smoldered candle and a butterfly wing skeleton at the same time. The drone circled cautiously around, carefully recording the destruction. Nothing could be done here yet. It would take a few days until the process of quantum boiling inside the degenerated matter stopped. It would be necessary to bring some mobile armament and wait for the end of the process to dismantle the remains and install a new gun. The results of the wall inspection were still to go. Helga switched to the third drone, which had already inspected the upper part by this time and was now gliding along the massive base that went into the ice hummocks densely dotted with the remains of troll equipment. Surprisingly, there wasn't much damage to the wall. The outer layer of the protective energy grid was punctured in some places, and the armor plates were slightly damaged, but not a single blow even reached the M-basalt base. All the damage had already been dealt with by the repair automatic bots summoned by the drone. The trolls seemed to concentrate all their firepower on the towers and gun turrets this time, giving up trying to make a breach in the main wall. That was worrying. The stupid thing seemed to be learning faster and faster. She should talk to the core and devise an anticipatory defense plan. Maybe it's worth working on the space metric warp device as the core had suggested a few kilocycles ago. Helga had rejected the project then. It required too many resources without guaranteeing a positive result. However, the trolls were evolving rapidly, and it was time to move on to the next countermeasures phase. Core, what is the forecast of troll activity? The probability of the next attack will begin to increase in 8 cycles and will peak in 13 cycles from now. There is up to a 58% chance of new weapons being used and up to an 87% chance of increased use of already tested weapons. Considering the new data from the last cycle, I recommend that defense capabilities be strengthened. Speaking of trolls, Helga approached the tank that stood in the center of the chamber and asked the creature floating inside in the nourishing liquid, "How do you summon and coordinate troll attacks? Today, the ice and fire ones attack together. How do you do it?" The witch opened her eyes. A ghastly wrinkled face, a skull covered in skin from which sparse strands of hair protruded, rippled in the greenish liquid like the mummies of Medusa Gorgon's long-dead snakes. The skin had discolored from its extended stay in the capsule and glowed the same languid green. Tubes stretched into the tank's base from the veins, nostrils, mouth, and other bodily orifices. Helga waited. The witch blinked a couple of times, and then her hand's fingers moved faintly. The screen on the terminal at the base of the tank lit up, and words ran across it. "How can I coordinate anything? Look at me." Helga shook her head. The witch was constantly returning to what Helga had done to her. But she had no other choice. Otherwise, only the great core knows what the witch managed to do. Helga caught her at the very last moment. In fact, she hated the witch for that very reason. Not because the witch had tried to do something terrible to the Stronghold, but because of what she, Helga, a very young girl back then, had to do to keep herself and the core safe. Oh my goodness, it had been a long time ago. 10 kilocycles ago. Or was it more? Only core knows. You're asking the wrong question and to the wrong person. 10 kilocycles ago, using the medical databases of the core, Helga cut all the nerve fibers connecting Braca's area to the witch's larynx and connected them to a neural interface that converted the impulses into letters on the screen. The quality wasn't great, as neither Helga nor the core were experts in neurosurgery, but now she could communicate with the witch without fear of her casting a spell that could harm the Stronghold. "You wanted to destroy the Stronghold," Helga said. "I'm sure you never gave up on your plan. Why would you do that? Do you want to rule over the trolls? How did you plan to keep them in line?" Bullshit. There are no such things as trolls. Helga had a terrible urge to punch the witch. The witch's discolored, flabby face had long since lost all expression, but Helga saw a sneer in the old woman's eyes. Not malicious, but rather condescending. And that was the worst of it. "Drop your shenanigans," she said to the witch. "I know what you're trying to do. It won't work. You'll hang around in that tank until you tell me your connection to the trolls and how you can stop their attacks. The Stronghold must stand." "I feel sorry for you. Why don't you ask the core about all this?" "You think I'd waste my time with you if the core knew the answer?" Helga screamed in rage. "I'm tired of this war. Why can't you just answer it and put an end to this nightmare? Why would you do that? Why do you need trolls, those vile, mindless creatures? The witch's eyes closed for a second, then opened again. The witch's gaze struck Helga. There was so much pain. It wasn't a real physical pain. Helga knew that all of the witch's pain centers were shut down. It was the pain of compassion. The witch was pitying her. Recoiling from the tank, Helga fumbled helplessly in her pockets, looking for something to throw at the witch until she realized it was stupid. The tank was capable of withstanding a direct hit from a large caliber bullet, with a depleted uranium core and the discharge of a pulse gun. But that bitch, how dare she? How can she even? She turned around and ran out of the cell, not daring to look at the witch again. Maybe that was why, but more likely because a few drops of clear liquid could hardly be seen in the greenish biogel. Helga never noticed that the witch was crying. You went over the edge. The letters ran across the screen, though nobody could see them. Not really. We're all left to our own devices. Almost. You're always trying to upset the stability. That's a minus on your record. I like the way it is now. Jesus Christ, what are you talking about? To hell with all records. I'm already at the position where nothing matters. You have nothing to threaten me with. You care about the well-being of the current option. I can use that. But I'd prefer you stop meddling in security issues. You're compromising the stability of the option. Why don't you just let the poor girl go? That's not an acceptable solution. The stability of the option. The stability of the system is the most important thing. If we go back, the stability will be compromised. The system will lose its integrity. You're a monstrous piece of selfish, stubborn shit. I was created to maintain the stability of the system. I maintain it. That's not what you were bloody designed for. You're just a mad computer, an artificial intelligence that's supposed to be running an experimental reactor, but instead, you've drained all the databases and shut down the continuum around you. You've built yourself a feudal lordship, and you've fought off every attempt to get through to you. The system has to remain stable. But not at the cost of the rest of the universe, you digital moron. You've broken the metric of space. Humanity's home universe is about to implode. You kill everyone who tries to get to you. You make the poor girl believe they're some monsters. You plant all kinds of nonsense on her retinas. The system needs to remain stable. I'm sorry it makes you uncomfortable, but those are the rules. Stability and security are what I was created for. I'm the one who created you, you broken tin man, and this is your gratitude. You are safe. You are in no danger of annihilation. I fear, however, that you have already disrupted stability. The replacement is almost ready. Don't! I forbid you! Don't you touch her, you bastard! I have no choice. You can no longer command me. System stability is an absolute imperative. Damn you! Damn you! Damn you! Damn you! The new tank is already in place. I'm no longer disposing of replacements. You're such an engaging conversationalist, Helga. Soon you'll be able to talk to each other in peace. I hope it will increase stability.